name, publisher name, and each of that is the book of that information. Just like the author, title, publisher, edition. Yeah, sorry for the interruption, please. Yeah. Is the audible, please? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in this field, in the where the we are creating one of the data, how it will be creating the database management system. Database, what is that purpose? We are creating the database data modeling. That means the data modeling means, so for example, in our library, the 5,000 books are there. The creating one of the data modeling, what is that? First author name, title name, publisher name. So each of the data we are preparing, that is called as a data modeling. We are creating one of that folder, one of that file. For the purpose of the database management system, we are creating the one of the data. So that is one thing. And the fields and records of that files. What type of that fields we have taken? What is our main agenda in our library? So that is called as a DBMS. For example, some people called as the industry. Industry fields, they are creating the according to the company requirements. For example, that is the construction of that management, material management. They are preparing the material data. Construction company, they are the maintaining materials, and the production department, they are the taking to the productivity of that material. Here, what type of that fields? As the librarians, we have the collecting only for the library information only. In the fields of library information, what is that? Books, collection of the books, collection of the journals, collection of the periodicals, collection of the magazines. So each of that field in the specifically divided. For example, we have in our library, a number of the collections are available. In the textbooks, what type of the textbooks are available in our library? That is one of that file. And reference books, what type of the reference books are available in our library? That creating one of the specific folder. That is called as a one of that folder. How many print journals are coming in our library? The list of the journals, it will be reflected one file. That is the file deviation. And one more file is the called as a general magazines. How many general magazines is there in our library? That is the list of the journals. And how many databases is there? For example, best example of database management system is called as a ABISCO, IEEE, Management Sciences, any one of the ABA Info. So such type of the databases it will be creating to give you the brief information. For example, so technical education of that point of view, I am telling on IEEE database management system. So IEEE is called as a international, that is the International Electrical and Electronics Engineering. The database it will be reflected to the USA. The database is published by the USA. It will be circulated to the commercial database. Every year, any institution, if you need the database, the people will be paid the 6 lakhs and get it per 1 year access of the database only. It is the worth of the 6,50,000 rupees. So that is the database. What type of that information it will be reflected? Purely engineering sciences information. For example, engineering related to the electronics, electrical, computer, biomedical, such type of the journals information will be reflected. So that database it will be created and for maintaining by the someone else where they procuring. The people will be arranging one of the systematic of that method. That is called as a fields. So that is the IEEE is one of that field. ABA info is called as a one of that field. ABISCO management database is there. Management sciences means especially in the management education, just like as a MBA, corporate education, and management sciences, especially in the PGDM, such type of that people in the corporate level of that people they are studying. That database is there the maintaining. In the subfields, there the number of the fields is the mainly to dividing the fields. First of all, to choose the fields. Especially in the database, in our library, what type of the fields we can require? Textbooks, reference books, journals, periodicals, magazines, bounded volumes, that is called as a back volumes, CDs and DVDs, or any online content of that information, online journals, so newspapers. So such type of that information is the category is the fields, that is called as a modules. And records, what type of the records we are the maintaining? So every year, how many books we are the procuring? The database, and every year we are the procuring the print journals. So journals list of the record, the journals. So for example, the library will be started in the 2000. Today is the 2023. The last 23 years of the records. Each year, how many journals we are the procuring? The data will be reflected. So each of that file, the fields, first of all, we have to choose in the fields. So books, journals, magazines, that is called as a field. Record means each of that field, each of the data every year, we are the saving the data. So in this academic year, we are the procuring the 2023, we are the procuring the 500 books. 2021 is the procuring the 5,000 books. In the 2019 to 2020, there is no books procuring because the COVID. So that is the zero. This is the entirely transaction of the recording of the data. That is called as a data. And file data. File data means what type of the files we are the storing in the DBMS. So what type of the files you can require. Entirely what type of the files we have the required, that names it will be tagged the each of that name, the file name. So entirely that all the fields it will be storing in the computer, that is called as a DBMS, that is called as a database management system. That means in the database management system, there are the requiring of the three fields. First of all, the data is required. Second one is the software and hardware. That is the most important. That is called as a hardware means in the computer. Without of that computer, how it will be saving the data? So computer is the main essential of the component here. So in the computer, there are the different categories, the different files. We are the creating and uploading and preparing the data. That is the first step. And entities and attributes. So what is that entities? That means called as in our library. What is that entities? Action register, periodical register. This is the main entries. So what entries is there in our library? What is that main entries? Is your stock register. That is called as a first of all in the action register. How many books are there? How many titles are there? Entries is the action of the register. Periodical register. Periodical register, it will be reflected to the how many journals we have regularly we are the procuring, magazines. This is called as the entries every day. For example, in this month we have the procuring. This day is 100 books we are the procuring. That entry it will be added. Attributes. So attributes is in the that is the quality. So that means the attributes means that is the characteristics. What is that? The book. What is that characteristics of the book? What is the purpose we are the procuring the book? What is the purpose we are the procuring? The book main purpose we are the procuring only for reading by the students or faculty, and that purpose only. So that is our main aim is characteristics. What is that main characteristics? To procuring the books and providing that information to the students and faculty fraternity. So that is the entities. So what type of that fields we have the chosen? Entities is the most important. Attributes. Attributes means the characters. So characteristics means called as what is the library of the characteristics? To provide the qualitative of that information to the students. So that is called as a books. So the people will be asking the books, people asking the journals, people asking the e-books, e-content of the e-journals, current content of that information, or review of the literature. What type of that information they are asking? Attributes is the most important on that area. So the domains, what is the main domains? For example, I am working in the academic library. So in this academic library, what type of the collections are there? All the books are available here. In the academic library, what type of the content is going on? All the academic environment is there here. This is all the academic environment. This is called the digital library. So it will be reflected the academic information only. So I am working in the academic institution. It will be reflected to the academic information only. And some public libraries, they are the working. In the public librarians, they are working in the public library. What type of the domains is there here? And that just like as a general magazines, newspapers, only for novels only. So the public library main motto, they are providing the public basic information only. the newspaper, general collection. So today the public libraries is totally changes the tremendous of the technologies. Today is the public libraries also the maintaining the digital library and providing the e-content of that information, internet facility, and the competitive cells also today is the maintaining all the libraries, just like as in the Hyderabad, in the Central Library of the Hyderabad and Kajigoda Central Library, and also some on the Nalgonda District Library. So Warangal District Library, they are maintaining such type of the qualitative of that information for the requirement of the people in the today's the competitive exams is the going on. All the district libraries, they are providing such type of that information. Only that is the domains. So that means in the academic means in the domains means public libraries, they are providing the public content of the relevant of that information only they are providing. I am working as the academic librarian. Academic librarian providing what is that academic of that point of view, what type of the books are required according to the syllabus wise, according to the semester wise, BTech and MTech or MBA students is required. That books I am the providing here. In the special libraries, especially ISRO is there, Indian Space Research Organization and Indian Science Libraries. So such type of the libraries they are providing DRDO, DRDL. They are the scientific of the information they are providing. Indian Science Library, the INSDAC, they are providing only purely sciences information only. So that is the domains is the very different status. The database management domains. So what type of the domains you are working on that area? First of all, you have a clear cut of the idea to creating of the database. For example, you are working in the academic institution, so just like the academic library, but we are preparing the database in the current content of that information of the science libraries. It is not reflected to the merging the main motto of your library. So domains, you can choose the what is that main domains first of all. That is one thing. And keys, what type of that keys is the most important here in the keys. For example, you are working on that what your R&D sector is there. R&D people, those information they are asking. So such type of that information where they're creating, where they're providing the information. And the entities and relationship, what is that entities? Entities and the Gunatmak, what is that important? That is important of the relations between what is that characterization here in the database management system. The database management system is the corporating authorship. Corporating authorship means the corporating and document types. So in the corporating authorship means the corporate of that information, they are the providing the corporate of that body. So it will be comes to the according to the DDC classification, David Decimal classification. They are preparing the cataloging of that models. That is the corporate author, that is the pseudonym author, main authors added of the author. This type of the entries it will be reflected here according to the MAC format. So on that basis, we have the preparing on that area. That is one contemporary. And also here in the here there are three categories is there: data attributions and characteristics. What is that data attributions and three levels of the architecture? The data attributes means that is called data. That is the data abstractions means. So this is the DBMS database management. It will be divided in the three categories. So first category, what is that? So external views. So what is that external views? What is your aim of your library? What type of that services we are providing? External views, how the search engine tools we are searching, the information it will be retrieving. What type of that information that people will be asking? For example, in the OPAC is there, online public access cataloging. There the searching three modules of the author catalog, title catalog, subject catalog. So any one of that field, the people will be come to searching easily to find out that information in the toolbar in the search engine. So at that same scenario here, the external views, what type of the users they are expecting the information from the database, you can clear cut an idea on that area. For example, the people will asking the textbooks, we are preparing only novels information. So how it will be synchronizing? They did not do synchronizing here in the both of. So external views means that is called as a users or faculty members. They are the asking the data, that is the creating the database management system. The people will be sitting on that computer. They are the searching what type of the relevant of that information they are the browsing. That information you can see. That is the main contemporary. And the conceptual and global views. What is the main of the conceptual and global views? So our conceptual views is mainly to program of agenda is only for the academic aspect of that point of view. In this purpose of that point of view, in the global view. So in the global view, what is the scenario is going on? How it will be search engine tools are going on? How it will be useful to the faculty or students? You can identify, that is the main important. And the internal views. So internal views, whatever the internal views in the attributions is the mainly important. The physical storage methods. For example, in the physical storage of that information in our database, how many storage facilities is there in our library? So how it will be providing that information? That is the internal of that part. So we have the only limited of that one almara books is there, but we are the creating 100 n number of that files. What is that usage? Here in our library, around in the one rack, it will be reflected 100 books only. But here we are the preparing the 200 modules, 200 files. So how to possible to searching the tools? That is the waste of the time. So internal views means we have the 100 books is there. So one rack is there. So in this area and this space, in the fields, we have the divided. What is the main 100 books? It will be useful of the criteria and the subject weight allocated. That is mainly to understanding of the internal view. This is the useful or not. That is the main important. And mapping the between the views. For example, in the mapping, that is called as a logical view. So this I am searching this tool in the toolbar in the database management system in the computer. For example, in our database, we have the creating in the RAM one of the database. So it will be, I am searching one of the, for example, S.R. Ranganathan. I am the searching, it will be reflected in the S.R. Ranganathan. It will be visibility or not, you can see. And logical view too. And some people will be comes to the searching only Ranganathan. It will be reflected or not. The third one, the people will be comes to only SRR. They are the searching Siali Ramamrita Ranganathan. It will be coincident. It will be conceptual views. These three people will be searching only for one name only. That is called as a father of Ranganathan. So viewer 1, viewer 2, viewer 3, both are different approaches, different methods they are the searching. The concept, it will be reflected the information or not. You can choose it. That is the most important. And the internal view. We have the know of the book of the S.R. Ranganathan book in our library. We are creating one of the database. How can it is the possible? So there the people, the user, they are the approaching the different ways. It will be synchronizing or not. It will be reflected or not. The conceptual view you can see, and also internal view, it will be working or not. You can identify. That is the main important. And the components of the database. In the here in the database, we are the maintaining, where they creating the database. For example, the database, it will be not comes to the other way. So it will be comes to one way in our, for example, in our library. One system, it will be allocated to the our server purpose. So we are creating one of the database. So in this database, what type of that information is the required? First one, users. For example, in our library, there is no users. What is the purpose? We are the creating the database, unnecessary waste of the time. First, users means on myself or my students or my faculty members, how many users are there? So users is the most important. How many users they are the browsing? That is the capacity of the strength of the server. That is the mainly. So 100 users they are the searching. Easily one system, it will be browsing, it will be sufficient. At a time in the 500 students are browsing, your system is the hanging. So it will be cloud. So at that time, we can allocate the other servers. So that is the main important. And second one is the software and hardware. The main important is the software and hardware. We are the preparing the database management system. So we have the creating one good configuration of that system is the required. RAM speed is the required. So such type of the hardware components is the most important. And also software. For example, we are working in the Windows 10, but we are the taking to the another software just like as a old one Windows applications in the Windows 7, Windows 97. Sometimes it will be not supporting to the Linuxing system. So at that time, the software and the hardware both are important, and users is the most important. These three components is the essential to creating the database. So once we are going to the processing of the concepts of the database is mainly, first one is the users is the most important. Second one is the software and hardware. This is the more essential. And third one is the data stored. So the data, which place we have the stored? We are the storing the database entirely the data. It will be storing by directly on the desktop. In case the virus is came, immediately the entire the system it will be collapsed. The data it will be corrupted. So which place we have the storing, whether the D drive or E drive. The storage is the most important. These three concepts we have the fundamentals to learn. Then only we can create the database. That is the main thing. So users of the database can be classifying in the according to the groups. For example, in the groups, what is the users of that groups here? We can create the groups. For example, in our live, in our college, in our library. So how many groups are there? UG students are there. UG students is the 600 UG students. PG students called as the MTech students, 100 students. And MBA students is there 60 students. You can categorize of the students, the users categories, UG students. So for example, you are the selecting to the directly for one single name of the Ramakrishna. And so many Ramakrishnas are there. In the UG program is there, PG program is there, MBA is there. So automatically all the Ramakrishnas is reflected. How it will be providing that information to accurate information, how it will be getting. And secondly, we will go to the section wise, branch wise. It is a bit difficulty. What is the purpose? The database management system, it will comes to the quickly and advanced information if you need. So on that basis, first of all, you can choose the file, use the program. Usually you can click it in the Ramakrishna, U Ramakrishna or A Ramakrishna, easily to find out. So the categorization of that people is the most important. And the second one, you can choose the softwares. Softwares and hardwares are the both important. These three areas is levels is the main important. These three is it will be reflected. The database, that is the database administration. The DBA is called as a database administrator. It will be reflected to mentor to maintaining all the database. For example, we are creating the file, entirely it will be not corrected. The database administrator is there. The database administrator will be storing the data. Which place we have the storing the data? We have the creating one of the separately to the server to allocating one of separately to a common area. It will be reflected. So, for example, in the live example, I will tell you what is the storage of the devices. For example, all the people there they accessing the WhatsApp groups here in the right now. So in the WhatsApp groups, we are posting regularly morning to evening n number of the photos and images and each and everything. So once we have the stored the entire the data, your memory card is also is the full. Sometimes we are removing and adding. So sometimes it will be storing the entirely data in the main server. So how in the world wise, how many servers is there required to tell me? For example, one image it will be reflected to 1 GB or 2 GB. So every person will be taken in the world ways. How many people they are using WhatsApp? Who is the stored the entire data? The data it will be stored on some retrieval of the storage of the data. So at that time, in case one people will be thefting, one people is the crime. So what is the chatting is the going on? In your mobile, you are the erasing immediately the data. So they did not identify. The police people will be identifying the data. Which place they are identifying? They are the taking to the storage. That is the database. That is the storage of the data. They are the collecting the data. That is called as a servers. It will be reflected in the storage of the data. They are the collecting and retrieving the data. So what is the going on? So that is the main important here. The DBMS is called as a database management system. We are the preparing of the final principles of the components, basically in the three components. First component is the users. That is the subclassification of the category wise of your users. So what is your domain? Your academic domain or public libraries domain? Academic libraries domain, public libraries domains, special libraries or office domain. Office domain means in the what type of that files is the going on. For example, you are the working in the civil supplies department. Civil supplies department, what type of the department is the going on? Purchase order, procurement order, invoice order, dispatching order. So many logistics is there. So each of that logistics you can creating one of that folder, one of that sub folder, easily to identify. So these three criteria is the most important of the phenomena, and the facilities and structures of the modules of the data. So what is that? DBMS is the facilities mainly data defining language. So the DBMS facilities, what is the main facilities? There are the two facilities is there. So for the first one is called as a DDL. So that is called as a data definition language. So once I am supporting to I am writing one of the data, I am entering the books, uses of the books information, library action register I am entering. So the data, it will be data definition and language. I am entering the data, it will be taken to the system. That is a binary system, it will be automatically by default, it will be taking. And secondly, the data manipulation language. So I'm entering the data, it will be taken to the one module. That is one style of that method, the system, it will be receiving and saving the data. And second one, how it will be reflected, that is the conversion of that language, that is the data manipulation language. The data manipulation language means once I am the data, it will be entering one procedure, and retrieving is the retrieving called, once I am searching one of the, I am entering the one of the title, fundamentals of the physics I have entered. It will be retrieving, I am searching on the data, the fundamentals of the physics is available or not. I am searching in the search box. Immediately it will be retrieving. So that is the manipulation of the language. The data, what are the data we have the incorporating on the data, it will be reflected to directly. These two transmissions, it will be continuously going on in the database management system. That is called a data definition language and also data manipulation language. Are you understood my points, please? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes,
are
sir.
you audible?
Yes, sir. Your voice is audible.
Yeah. So these two major principles is the most important phenomena here. So what is that? Data definition language and data manipulation language. These two is the most important. Structure of the DBMS. So what is that main structure of the DBMS is one of the standard structure of any of the database management system in our library sciences. They are the following. 21st unit, that is the mark format of language, mark format of the cataloging classification, that is the mark format, and DDL, that is called the data definition language, and the compiling of the data manager, data file management system. So entirely we are the typing of the data, input we are the providing the data, automatically it will be receiving the data. So after the receiving of the data, the file manager, it will be creating as the database administrator. The file manager, they are the maintaining the separate logging of that file, the storing of that your data without of that corruption. That is the most important. And data definition language compiler. So that is the compiler is the most important. The compiler entirely the computer working with the algorithm only. So the computer, what is the process of that working? It will be algorithm based. It will be working. So that is the markup language. So hypertext language. So the HTTP hypertext of the language, it will be reading the entirely content. What type of that? For example, where the typing one of the data, it will be taken to the by binary by a numerical language. It will be storing the so storage or D drive or E drive, one of the storage of the RAM only. So that is the main in the data manager. The data manager means called as a file manager. So where the typing the data, which place where the saving the data, or one file or another file, which data, for example, action register is there. So the action register will be reflected one place only, and another periodical register it will be reflected another place. So the data manager, it will be seeing the entire data, it will be clearly to saving the file or not. The data manager is the main key role. That is data manager or data administrator is the main key role of that functioning. For example, all the data is there, all the database, it will be, all the document, it will be kept it in the one folder. It will be very hectic. It will be not identify easily to each of that folder we are the creating individually, easily to find out the file manager. So that is mainly the data manager. That the comparison of the two entirely the central components of what are the functioning of the database is there was the monitoring, and file manager structure of that files are the defining. So for example, our action register is there, one file, periodicals is there, one file. In this academic year, every year of that file, one of the file. The file manager, according to the year-wise statistics, it will be reflected to the file manager. And a disk manager. So the disk manager is called as the operating system. So OS is the operating system. It will be reflected to the searching what type of that information we are searching, easily to find it. Query processors. So for example, in the big databases is there, DBMS. They are the maintaining the Amazon server is there. So Amazon server, it will be reflected to the query managers. So what is the process going on? What is the structure implementation of that queries? What is the going on each and every file manager? The step by step, they are the monitoring this data is the saved or not. So that type of that. So this is a file server 1, server 2, server 3. So this 100 systems, 100 people, they are the serving is searching the information. They are the called as a one service. 5,000 of the people searching called as a 3 server. So such type of the servers of the processors are maintaining mainly, and data files. So what type of the data files we are maintaining, easily to find out to displaying here, and a data dictionary. In the meanwhile, in the data dictionary means, so how we have the preparing one of the abstract data dictionary. What type of the data is there in our library? Ebooks is there, e-journals is there, print journals is there, abstract journals is there, back volumes is there, none is there, reference books is there, text books is there, each handbooks is there, dictionaries is there. Each and everything, it will be separated to allocating each of that file. Once we will open to see the file, immediately it will be tracing the dictionaries. Immediately Oxford dictionary, Telugu dictionary, how many dictionaries is there? Easily all the dictionaries will be reflected in the random of that order in the alphabetical of that method. That is main one thing. And data, that is the transmission of the system. The transmission of the system in the system, so the server, it will be reflected to once the browser will be searching automatically alphabetical order, what type of the people will be searching, the information will be retrieving, the transmitting the information through the desktop. It will be showing in our system. That is the mainly. In the data models, the data models, there are the 3 categories of the data models. Relational database model. That is one concept. Relational database model means, so for example, I am searching the books only. So that books information will be reflected directly through me, to me. That is called as a relational database model. For example, I am searching the author by, for example, for Ranganathan, I am searching. So the Ranganathan fields, it will be reflected. That is called relation of the database. What type of that information the user is asking, it will be reflected the data on the system, and the retrieving of the information on the screen on the computer. It is called as a relational database model. And network database model. Network database model means, in the, for example, there the logistics, there are the different models approaches there. Vendor recording and interdisciplinary, intermediate disciplinary, and document recording. For example, in the invoices, what type of the purpose in the procurement of that in our library, we are the following. First, raising the invoice. First, invite the quotations and raising the invoice of the copies. And after that quotation, we have the call for in. After that, the discount will be asking. And finally, we are the giving to the PO purchasing order. So this is the entirely the process that going on. Network database model. That is called just like as a LAN, local area network. At the same, that like just like as on that, this is the entirely systematic way, one process to another process. One process to, for example, I am purchasing these books in this academic year is the 500. So what is the purpose? First, I am inviting the quotation. Where is that quotation? First of all, request letter from the principal. That is the budgeting of that approval of that letter from the library committee. After that, the principal recommendation of that letter, permission of that letter. Third one, inviting the quotations, for inviting of the quotation, collecting the quotation of that discount different publications. After the raising the PO, and the people will be providing the purchasing of the books order. The books order, it will be comes to the entered in the stock register. That is called as the access register. This is entirely the process will be going on network based model. So each of the network, one layer to one layer, one layer to one layer, one layer to one layer, it will be going on. That process is going on continuously. And a hierarchical database model. Hierarchical database model means, for example, in the collector office, in the top to bottom, for example, who is that subordinate? Is the office of the principal, is manager, is the collector, is the superior. Collector of that sub-collector, sub-collector of that RDO of that MRO, RI to attender. So this is the hierarchical model, attender to officer. This is called as the hierarchical model. So at the same scenario here in the hierarchical model, the top to bottom, starting to ending of that point. So everyone is the responsible. So on that basis, every file, it will be reflected to connectivity to the one file to another file. That is the main thing. So the database and design and development. So this is the mainly defining the problem. The database management, defining the problems. For example, we are uploading one data, but we are searching another data. So immediately it will be showing this database is not in our database. Immediately it will be defining. So this is the problem. You can please see the identify. And analysis and adjusting the system procedures. So the system procedures, so what is the system procedures are there? Easily to find out. So what is the problem? Preliminary designing. What type of the database we are creating? Preliminary designing. So basic information, if you need only books only, if you need, that is the preliminary data. For example, we are not preparing the Amazon of the database, and not only for the WhatsApp the database. We need only for the library purpose. We are creating the database. So what is that creating? That is called a primary database. Primary database means in our library, we are searching the books purpose. We are creating one of the database management system only for author catalog, title catalog, publisher catalog. 3 folders we are creating. Author wise one list, title wise one list, subject wise one list. The 3 categories in the primary designing of the database, that is one contemporary. And the last one is bottom of that approach. In the top to bottom approach, in the bottom of that approach. In the 3 bottom up approaches, it will be reflected to directly. And software and hardware of the selection. Here we have the selection of the process, hardware and software. The both of the hardware and softwares, both how it will be selecting, that is the main important. So good software, it will be reflected to Microsoft is their original software. It will be easily to find out to selecting the good software. It will be the system configuration, and there is no virus and active virus, such type of the problems not occurring. Hardware system, high configuration system, high processor of the system, it will be there, easily to find out. And the final design, for example, in our library, one of the primary we have the preparing. After that, what is the procedure and each and everything we will identify. After you can finalization. For example, you have your library is big library. So first for 3 years it will be gone. We are creating the database. And finally, you can design this modules is the required. We can create this module. This is the useful. So on that basis, we can create the different modules. So finally, you can creating this database is the in our library. So this is my library. My database is the created. That is one thing. And the implementation of the testing. So this database is working or not to testing of that implementation. And the operations and the train, that is the tuning. So what type of that operations is the going on? Easily to find out how it will be working or not. To trial access, to trial run the people. So user identification, mainly to user identification means is the students. That is the mainly. That is the main thing. So it will be working is the best way. So this is the security of the basis of the system is the most important. Advantages mainly the database management system. It will be more advantageable to the user community, especially libraries. Data independence. So individually, we did not ask for any assistance. Directly go and search the database. And reduction, that is the reductions and data sharing and data integrity, data security, and conflict. That is the conflict of the resolution, costless. So complex of the back recovery. This is all are the useful of the this database. For example, save the time. For example, one book is there in our library. Is there or not in the 5,000 of the books, 50,000 of the books? How it will be go to search to collect? Immediately, we're searching on that system. Automatically, it will be reflected. So this is the easiest of that method of that searching of the books. Okay. So this is the end of the database. What is the database management system? So as the user of that point of view, you can create one of the database using of the library purpose only. That is the main. Once we have the saving the data, so automatically it will be retrieving. If you are asking, you are searching the data, automatically it will be reflected to searching of that information. Okay, this is the first. This chapter is the completed. This database means called database management system. అంటే దీనిలో ఒక మాటగా చెప్పాలి అంటే మనకు కావాల్సిన సమాచారాన్ని ఏదైనా కూడా మనం ఒక ఫైల్లో స్టోర్ చేసుకొని మనం కావాలన్నప్పుడు దాన్ని సెర్చ్ చేసుకుంటూ ఉంటే అది మనకు రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. దీనిలో డిఫరెంట్ మాడ్యూల్స్ అన్నీ ఉంటాయి. ఆ మాడ్యూల్స్ ప్రకారం మనం చేసుకుంటే రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అయిపోతుంది, ఈజీగా అర్థమైపోతుంది. దిస్ ఈస్ ద ప్రొసీజర్ అండి. ఓకే, ఎనీ డౌట్స్ ప్లీజ్? ఎనీ డౌట్స్ ప్లీజ్?
నో సార్, నో సార్.
యా, మీకు ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే చెప్పండి, అడగండి. లేదంటే నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్కి వచ్చినప్పుడైనా మీరు రీకాల్ చేసుకోండి. చాట్ బాక్స్ లో కానీ మా మొబైల్ నెంబర్ కానీ ఎవరికైనా మీరు చాట్ చేస్తే దెన్ ఓన్లీ విల్ గివ్ దట్ రెస్పాన్స్. ఓకే,
ఓకే సార్, థ్యాంక్
యూ అండి. థ్యాంక్
యూ సార్.
యా
సార్ రేపు ఉందా క్లాస్ మీది?
హలో,
టుమారో ఉందా క్లాస్?
యా, టుమారో క్లాస్ ఇస్ దేర్. యా,
ఓకే సార్.
Next, which subjects?
లింకులు